In today's video, we'll continue to dive down the obscure conspiracy theory iceberg chart. Privyet, my fellow Kiwistanis. I hope you're all having a nice day, and a warm welcome to all visitors to the official YouTube channel of the Kingdom of Kiwistan. My name is President Pablo, and today we're going to be covering theories ranging from sea monsters to archaeology. Before we get into that, we have a quick word from the Tsar of Kiwistan, Jaffa the Great. Great speech, Tsar Jaffa. Now without further ado, let's dive down this iceberg. Alright, this is a theory there's actually a lot of evidence for. Bronze artifacts were discovered in a 1,000-year-old house in Alaska, which suggests trade with Asia as bronze working had not been developed in Alaska at the time. Obsidian artifacts were also found inside the house, which have a chemical signature indicating it is from Russia. Archaeologists have also found a metal belt buckle that was used on horse harnesses in central China. Another intriguing yet controversial find is the discovery of Venetian glass trading beads at Inuit sites dating back to the 1400s before the arrival of Christopher Columbus. Some suggest that they made their way along the Silk Road and ended up all the way in North America, literally the other side of the world. I think this is quite incredible, and it shows the ancient world was a much more mobile place than we previously thought, and we were not all just in our own isolated cultures, blissfully unaware of the world around us. Sandy Hook entrance CCTV footage, Mandela Effect, is referring to the tragic and horrific massacre that took place at Sandy Hook Elementary School, with some people saying they remember seeing CCTV footage of the perpetrator walking through the entrance, even though no such footage exists, with this being attributed to the Mandela Effect. Out of the 12 animals in the Chinese zodiac calendar, only one of them, the dragon, is fictional. Or is it? Because in 1934 in Yingkou City, China, they experienced 40 days of heavy rain before allegedly a dragon fell from the sky and landed in the nearby sea, overturning fishing boats and causing damage to nearby buildings. This was reported in the Shenzhen Times with the headline, "Dragon Causes Disaster," reporting that a large creature had fallen from the sky, causing widespread damage. A few days later, the skeletal remains of a dragon-like creature were found on the shoreline, which was also reported in local newspapers. However, not long after, the bones went missing. Many claim that the bones were actually those of a whale, but it still doesn't explain the mysterious creature that fell from the sky. Alright, this one is beyond obscure. I spent a long time looking for anything regarding this one, and all I could find was that, according to this theory, the French army had a working steam engine automobile in 1751, which they used to transport supplies. The Leviathan is an enormous sea serpent mentioned in the Bible that can breathe fire and has impenetrable scales. There are myths of sailors encountering it in the medieval ages, and alleged modern sightings of people spotting a large creature beneath oil rigs with glowing eyes. There are some really bad videos of supposed sightings, but no concrete evidence whatsoever. Although being extinct for 66 million years, there are some who say ammonites still survive in trenches in other deep, unknown parts of the ocean. Personally, I think this is entirely possible, since the ocean is so huge and we've only explored just a small fraction of it. A famous alleged sighting of it took place in the 1970s in the Persian Gulf, where a bunch of fishermen caught one in their net and it thrashed about on deck before escaping back into the sea. There are also some who claim the Loch Ness Monster is actually an ammonite due to sightings of it showing a large lump similar to its shell. Frank Hansen, a former Air Force pilot from Minnesota, began touring fairs and malls across America, showing off a 6-foot-tall, hairy man-like creature frozen in ice, which became known as the Minnesota Iceman. He claims that it dated back to the Ice Age and was discovered in Siberia. In 1967, experts from the Smithsonian Institute concluded that it was a hoax, which Hansen admitted to in 1971. However, he claims that the real Minnesota Iceman was kept in private by its California millionaire owner, and the one he had was just a replica of it he could show off. He also claims that at one point he had the original, however its owner wanted it just for himself, so he swapped it out for a replica. This is backed up by some viewers who assert it was not a fake, but decomposing flesh, and they could smell it. Some theories also claim it was not from Siberia, but actually from Vietnam, where Hansen had served during the war and he had brought it back. The replica of the Minnesota Iceman can be viewed today in the Museum of the Weird in Austin, Texas. The whereabouts of the original Minnesota Iceman remain a mystery to this day. There's been a long-running rumour that Eric Harris, one of the perpetrators involved in Columbine, had modded one of the levels in Doom to resemble the layout of Columbine High School, to act as training before carrying it out for real. Some former students can attest that he says he made a level he called Columbine High School. However, to this day there is no evidence that this level ever existed, with some claiming that it was deleted by software companies as they didn't want to be associated with such a horrific incident. Disney lost fascist cartoons is referring to a claim that Walt Disney was secretly a German sympathiser and produced cartoons with fascist themes, which were covered up because of America's entrance into World War II. However, there is no evidence for this, and to the contrary, Disney actually produced a lot of anti-fascist cartoons throughout the war. The Descent, which is a very good movie, albeit bloody scary, was made in 2005 and follows a group of women on a caving expedition when they are attacked by a group of pale subterranean humanoid creatures. There are a few theories floating around online that the film was based on a true story, since the story takes place in the Appalachian region, where there are a few myths and legends regarding cave-dwelling creatures. 1974 serial killer study alleges that 1974 US law enforcement agencies allowed serial killers such as Ted Bundy to operate freely for some time in order to better study their behaviour so they could more easily track down future serial killers. They would follow after the perpetrators but not intervene, and mostly did this in less affluent areas as the victims were viewed as less important. The Spanish-American War, fought in 1898, lasted only 3 months and was won by the United States of America. It resulted in Spain losing its few remaining overseas territories of Cuba, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. As a result of losing the Philippines, Spain's Pacific territories were no longer feasible to govern, so they sold them to Germany the next year. So some suggest that Germany somehow instigated the conflicts to weaken Spain, and so they could benefit from it without having to fight themselves. Shipping companies funded Netflix suggest that when Netflix was just starting out, they were kept afloat by shipping companies investing in their company before their business model became profitable. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Long live Kiwistan!